A station called Hayden 7 floated in the darkness between three solar systems. It was a meeting place for many species. Aliens of all shapes and sizes walked through its metal halls. Some had scales, some had fur, some had no faces at all. They came here to trade, talk, and to avoid war. His small face against the window of the transport ship. He was 8 years old. His dark hair was messy from sleeping during the long journey. His mother sat beside him, checking her work tablet for the 10th time. Look, she said softly, that's our new home. The station was massive. It looked like a spinning wheel made of silver and glass. Thousands of light blinked across its surface. Ships of all sizes moved around it like fish swinging near a reef. Not answer. He had not wanted to leave Earth. He had not wanted to leave his school, his friends, or his grandmother's house with the garden full of tomatoes, but his mother's work had brought them here. She studied alien biology. She said it was important, was not so sure. Docton stepped onto the station. The air smelled strange, like metal and something sweet they could not name. Aliens walked past them without looking. A creature with 4 arms bumped into and did not say sorry. A tall being with gray skin and no eyes made a clink sound as it passed. Held his mother's hand. Quarters were small but clean. Had to work immediately, so she left with instructions to stay inside and read his books, but was not good at following instruction. After an hour, he was bored. After 2 hours, he was opening the door. The station was like a maze. Hallways curved and split into more hallways. Walked slowly, looking at everything. He passed a market where aliens sold glowing fruits and live creatures in boxes. He passed a window that showed the stars outside, more stars than he had ever seen. Tried to talk to some alien children. They were playing a game with floating balls near a fountain, but when he walked close, they stopped playing. They looked at him with wide eyes, then they ran away. But alone by the fountain, he did not understand. Was something wrong with him? Did he smell bad? He sniffed his shirt. It smelled normal. Old alien with blue skin and a kind face walked over to him. The alien spoke through a translator device on its neck. Now feel sad, small human, the alien said. They are not used to your kind. Why, you asked? They are new to the galaxy, the alien explained. And you are strange to us. Your bodies are too warm, your eyes move too much. You do not give up, it makes others nervous. What about this? He did not feel strange, he just felt lonely. Passed, explored more of the station. He learned which hallways led to the gardens and which led to the noisy engine rooms. He learned that some aliens were friendly, and some would hit at him if he got too close. He learned that being human in space meant being alone most of the time. Then the alarms came. In a viewing deck when the red lights started flashing, a loud voice spoke in many languages, telling everyone to stay calm and move to safe areas, but saw people running. He saw fear on faces that usually showed nothing. Pressed against the window and looked down at the dying bay below. Ship had crashed. It was not like the other ships. It was black and twisted like something had chewed on it. Smoke poured from its broken hull. Emergency teams in protective suits ran toward it, but they moved slowly like they did not want to get close. And they pulled something from the wreckage. Breath stopped it. It was a creature. It was bigger than any alien he had seen. Even lying on the ground, it was twice the size of a grown human. Its skin was black like the space between stars. It had arms that ended in claws as long as knives. Its face was flat and terrible, with a mouth full of teeth and eyes that glowed like fatting fire. The creature was hurt. Silver blood leaked from wounds all over its body. It did not move much, but even so, the emergency team backed away from it. Some of them dropped their tools and ran. But aliens around him made sounds of terror. Words came through their translators. They whispered, as here. We are all dead. Bay said, bay it now before it wakes. Not know what it was, but he could see that everyone was afraid, more afraid than he had ever seen anyone. A large alien with scales fell to its knees and began to pray. A small creature with 2 many legs curled into a ball and shook. He found his mother in the crowd. She grabbed him and held him tight. Stay close to me, she said. Her voice was shaking. Do not go anywhere alone. What is that thing? He asked. His mother looked at the viewing window. Her face was pale. That is it, she said. They are the most dangerous hunters in the galaxy. Every species has stories about them. Old stories from before we had ships or cities. Stories about monsters that came in the night and took entire villages. But its herd said, does not matter. A wounded is still a. One of them could kill hundreds of us before anyone stopped it. The Asian leaders had a meeting. Was not allowed to attend, but he heard people talking about it. Some wanted to help them. Most wanted to kill it or throw it in space. In the end, they did neither. They put the creature in an empty cargo hold in the lowest part of the station. They locked the doors with the strongest locks. They put guards who stood far away and refused to go closer. The doctor would treat its wounds. No one would bring it food or water. The medical staff said they would rather lose their jobs than go near it. The alien ambassador sent angry messages demanding the creature be removed. The creature stayed locked in the dark, bleeding alone. About it at night, he lay in his small bed and stared at the ceiling and thought about the in the cargo hold. Everyone said it was a monster. Everyone said it would kill them all if it had the chance. But it had seen something else. Just for a moment, when the creature was being dragged from its ship, he had seen its eyes. They were not filled with anger or hunger. They were filled with fear. The monster was afraid, just like everyone else, just like when he had first arrived on the station and felt so alone. He could not stop thinking about it. He could not stop wondering if anyone would ever help the creature in the hold. He could not stop wondering if he was the only one who cared. 3 days passed since they arrived. The station tried to return to normal, but nothing was normal. Aliens walked fast through the hallways. They spoke in quiet voices. Guards stood at every corner, holding weapons they hoped they would never have to use. The school on the station. There were only 5 human children, and they sat together in a room while a teaching program showed them lessons on screens. The other children talked about them. They repeated what their parents had said. My dad says they eat people alive, said a girl named Sora. They start with the legs. Mom says one destroyed an entire colony once, said a boy named. Just one. It killed everyone and everything. But did not speak. He was thinking about something else. He was thinking about the cargo hold in the lowest level of the station. He was thinking about the creature lying there in the dark, wounded and alone, while everyone waited for it to die. Knight could not sleep. He lay in bed and listened to his mother breathing in the next room. The station made soft humming sounds as it moved through space. Everything was quiet and peaceful. Somewhere below there was suffering. The decision, it was not a smart decision. He knew this, but he also knew that he could not lie in bed for another night and do nothing. Got up slowly. He put on his shoes and his jacket. He took the small from his mother's supplies. It was meant for humans, but maybe it would help. He did not know. He only knew that he had to try. The station at night was different. The lights were dim. Most aliens were sleeping or hiding in their rooms, moved through the hallways like a shadow. He was small and quiet and no one noticed him. Cargo hold was at the bottom of the station. Knew he could not use the normal doors. There were guards and locks and alarms, but he had spent many days exploring the station. He knew about the maintenance tunnels. He knew about the spaces between walls where workers crawled to fix pipes and wires. Found an opening near the recycling center. It was small, barely big enough for a child. He squeezed through and began to crawl. Tunnels were dark and dusty. Strange sounds echoed around him. His heart beat fast, but he kept moving. He crawled for a long time, following the signs on the walls until he found the vent that opened into the cargo hold. Pushed the vent cover aside and dropped down. Cargo hold was huge and empty. Urgency light glowed red near the ceiling, casting strange shadows. The air was cold and smelled like metal and something else, something alive. In the far corner, something moved. Walked forward. His footsteps sounded very loud in the silence. He could hear breathing now, slow, heavy breathing like a wounded animal trying to stay alive. Then he saw it was lying against the wall. Ian hurt and lying down, it was massive. Its black skin seemed to swallow the light. Its claws rested on the floor like curved swords. Its eyes were closed, but could see them moving beneath the lids. The creature's wounds were bad. Silver blood had dried on its skin. Some of the wounds were turning strange colors. Mother had taught him about infection. She said wounds could be unpoisoned if they were not cleaned. This wounds looked poisoned. Another step, the floor made a small sound. His eyes opened, glowed like dying embers. They fixed on with an intensity that made his legs want to run. Every part of his body screamed at him to flee. This was a predator. This was death with claws and teeth. He should not be here. But did not run. Stood very still and looked into those terrible eyes, and in them he saw what he had seen before. Not hunger, not rage, fear, pain, confusion. Made a sound. It was low and dangerous, a growl that vibrated through the floor, a warning. "I'm not going to hurt you," said. His voice was small in the big room. "I know you don't understand me, but I want to help." Growling continued. His claws scraped against the floor, but the creature did not attack. It watched him with those burning eyes. Another step, then another. He was close now, close enough to see every detail of the alien's terrible face, close enough to see the wounds up close, the silver blood, the damaged flesh. He sat down on the floor, crossed his legs, opened them. "Mom says wounds need to be cleaned," he said, keeping his voice calm. "She's a scientist. She studies aliens. She would know what to do, but she's not here, so I'll have to try." Took out a cloth and a bottle of cleaning solution. His hands were shaking, but he forced them to be steady. "This might hurt," he said. "I'm sorry." He reached out and touched his arm. The creature went completely still. The growling stopped. Those ember eyes went wide with something that looked like shock. Or would learn the truth. In 10,000 years of galactic history, no prey species had ever willingly touched it, not once. Every species ran. Every species hid. Every species fought with weapons from far away. But no one had ever sat down beside it and reached out with gentle hand. It simply did not happen. It was against nature. It was impossible. Yet here was this small human child, cleaning the wound of the galaxy's greatest predator, talking softly about his mother and his grandmother's garden, and how he missed the tomatoes on Earth. Slowly and carefully, he cleaned the wounds as best he could. He put medicine on them, even though he did not know if human medicine would work on it. He wrapped bandages around the worst cuts. It did not move. It barely breathed. It just watched with those glowing eyes that slowly changed from fear to something else, something like wonder. Finished, he sat back and looked at his work. It was not perfect. He was just a child, but he had done something. "Come back tomorrow," he said. "I'll bring more medicine and food if I can find some." He stood up and walked toward the vent. At the opening, he looked back. Was still watching him, and for just a moment thought he saw the creature's head move. A small nod, a thank you in a language that needed no words. Well, then he climbed into the vent and disappeared. And him in the dark cargo hold, the name lay very still and tried to understand what had just happened. In all his long years, in all his travels across the galaxy, he had never experienced anything like this. Child, a small, warm, frail child, had touched him without fear. The first time in many days felt something other than pain and despair kept his promise. Every night when the station grew quiet and his mother fell asleep, he crawled through the maintenance tunnels to the cargo hold. Every night he brought something: medicine, bandages, food from the human cafeteria, water in plastic bottles. The first few nights did not move when arrived. He just watched with those glowing eyes, tracking every motion the boy made. He was waiting, realized, waiting for the trick, waiting for the trap, waiting for the strange kindness to reveal itself as something dangerous. There was no trick. There was only a boy with messy hair and gentle hands who sat in the cold cargo hold and talked about his life while he changed bandages. "It's my friends from Earth," said one night, carefully wrapping a wound on his arm. "We used to play soccer after school. Do you know what soccer is? You kick a ball and try to put it in a net. It sounds simple, but it's actually really hard." At a low sound, not a growl, something softer. "I don't know if you can eat human food," continued, pulling a wrapped sandwich from his bag. "But I brought this anyway. It has vegetables and some meat. My mom made it." Placed the sandwich on the floor near his massive hand. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, he reached out. His clawed fingers picked up the sandwich with surprising gentleness. He brought it to his mouth and took a small bite. Smiled. "Is it good?" Another sound. This time it almost sounded like agreeing. As the night passed, things changed. Began to wait for his visits. His body would shift toward the vent when he heard the boy approaching. His eyes would brighten. Once, when was late because of a station drill, he found packing near the vent opening like a worried animal. Teaching words, simple words at first: yes, no, hurt, better, food, friend. Fast. His voice was deep and rough, like stones grinding together, but he could form human sounds. The translator devices on the station did not work well with language, but was teaching himself to speak like a human. Said one night, it was the first time he had spoken the boy's name. "Why?" "Why what?" "Help." Ember eyes searched the boy's face. "Others fear, others run, you stay. Why?" What about this? He had asked himself the same question many times. "Because you were alone," he finally said, "and I know what that feels like." Quiet for a long moment. Then he did something that made his heart jump. He lowered his massive head and gently pressed his forehead against the boy's shoulder. It was a gesture of trust, a gesture of thanks. Reached up and put his small hand on his head. They stayed like that for a while, the child and the monster, connected by something that had no name. But secrets cannot stay hidden forever. Knight returned to his room to find his mother waiting for him. The lights were on. Her face was pale and frightened. "Have you been?" she demanded. "I woke up and you were gone. I searched everywhere. I was about to call security." Looked looked at the floor. He could not lie to his mother. He told her everything. Listened in silence. Her face went through many emotions: fear, anger, disbelief, and finally something that looked like wonder. I've been visiting the shield slowly for weeks, and it hasn't hurt you. His name is said. He's not a monster, Mom. He's just hurt and scared and alone. Down heavily, she put her face in her hands, thought she was going to yell at him. Instead, when she looked up, there were tears in her eyes. Show me, he said. Night crawled through the maintenance tunnel behind her son. She was scared. Her hands shook. Every instinct told her to grab and run away and never come back. She also trusted her son, and she was a scientist. She had spent her life trying to understand alien beings. Here was a chance to understand the most mysterious species of all. She dropped into the cargo hold, was waiting. He saw in his body tensed. A low growl began in his throat. It's okay, he said quickly. This is my mom, she's a friend. Eyes moved between the boy and the one. The growl faded. He relaxed, though he watched carefully. Approached slowly. She looked at the wounds that the bandits had applied at the empty food wrappers piled in the corner. God, she whispered, his wounds are healing. That's impossible. Human medicine shouldn't work on biology. It's not just the medicine, said. Maybe he just needs someone to care. That her son, this small boy who had done something no one in the galaxy had ever done. He had shown kindness to a creature everyone wanted dead. He made a decision. I'm going to help, she said. I'll bring proper medical supplies. I'll study his biology and figure out what he really needs. She looked at, if that's okay with you. Considered her for a long moment, then he looked at her mother, he said in his rough voice. She good. You're the best, said. And slowly, then she helps. But the following days worked in secret. She brought proper medical equipment. She took samples and studied biology. She learned things that would fill research papers for years, but she kept it all hidden. Also learned story. He was not a warrior. He was a scholar, a scientist like her. His ship had been a research vessel traveling the galaxy to study other species. He had not been hunting anyone. He had been fleeing. Bad comes, told them one night. To our home, our world, a sickness, not like other sickness. It takes our bodies, controls our minds. My people are dying. Faye went pale, a parasite. Yes, we sing calls for help to every world, every station. Then her eyes dimmed with sadness. No one answers, no one helps, everyone too afraid. Oh, you came here, said. Look for allies, someone brave, someone not afraid. Looked at the boy. I find only you. It began to spread quietly. Told Captain Minyu, the leader of the human diplomatic team. Minyu was shocked, but he listened. He came to the cargo hold himself and saw the sitting peacefully beside a human child, learning words and eating sandwiches. This is impossible, Minyu said. This changes everything. Not everyone was happy. Other aliens heard whispers. They watched the humans going to the cargo hold. They saw supplies being brought to the monster below. Anger grew, and somewhere a message was sent to those who wanted the dead. Ambassador was a. His species had smooth gray skin and large dark eyes that showed no emotion. They were known for being calm and logical. They made decisions based on facts, not feelings. When learned about the humans he felt something he had not felt in years. He felt fear. Had old memories of memories written in their blood and bones. Thousands of years ago, before they had ships or weapons that had hunted them, entire cities had been destroyed. Millions had died. They had survived only by hiding underground for generations. Those days were gone. They had changed. They had become scholars and travelers, but the fear remained. It was in every child from the day they were born. Now the humans were helping one of these monsters. A secret meeting with the other frightened ambassadors. They gathered in a private room far from human ears. Humans have lost their minds, said. They are treating it like a pet, feeding it, healing it. Do they not understand what they are doing? So young, said Ambassador Pell, a round creature with too many eyes. They have no memory of the hunts. They do not understand. We must make them understand, replied, or we must act ourselves. What do you suggest? Asked Commander, the Pellian security chief. Her purple skin flickered with nervous patterns. Lean forward. I suggest we end the problem before it becomes a disaster. It is still weak. It cannot fight back. If we strike now, we can kill it and be done with the madness. The room was silent. Everyone was afraid to speak, but everyone was also afraid of the humans will not allow it, said finally. Humans do not need to know, answered, not until it is finished. Knight sent a secret message. It traveled across space to a Pellian military ship that was padding nearby. The message was simple. A weekend was on the station. There was a chance to kill one of the galaxy's greatest monsters. Come quickly. Warship changed course. Something was wrong the next day. The station felt different. Aliens looked at him strangely when he walked through the halls. Guards whispered to each other and stopped when he came near. At school, the other human children were nervous. My dad says something bad is going to happen, said. He says we might have to leave the station. Why, you asked? I don't know, he wouldn't tell me. School went looking for his mother. He found her in the biology lab, arguing with Captain Minyu. Need more time, was saying, is willing to talk, to share information. This is the greatest opportunity in human history. Understand, Minyu said, but there are forces moving against us. Ambassador has been meeting with the other delegations. They're afraid, and afraid people do dangerous things. What are they planning? He shook his head. I don't know yet, but I've requested extra security for the cargo hold, just in case. Listened from the doorway. His heart was beating fast. He thought about, alone in the dark hold, not knowing that people were planning to hurt him. He had to warn his friend. Before he could move, alarms began to ring. Ship was approaching the station, a big ship, a warship. At the viewing window, outside, he could see the vessel coming closer. It was shaped like a blade, dark and dangerous. Weapons pointed from its hull like thorns on a dead branch. Around him, aliens began to panic. They had seen warships before, but this one was not coming for a friendly visit. And it appeared on every screen. Her face was calm, but her purple skin was flickering badly. To all personnel, she said, we are receiving a diplomatic vessel from the Pellian fleet. All residents should return to their quarters. This is a standard security protocol. There is no need for alarm. There was alarm, could see it on every face. He could feel it in the air. He found his mother in the crowd. Mom, they're coming for her, I know they are. Faye was pale. I need you to stay here, stay safe. No, I have to warn him, I have to help him. You can't. Was already running. He pushed through crowds of aliens. He squeezed through closing doors. He found the maintenance tunnel and Dove inside. Warship had docked. Soldiers were marching through the station. 50 Pellian warriors in black armor, carrying weapons that could cut through metal walls. They moved toward the cargo hold with dead purpose. And walked beside Ambassador. The ambassador's gray face showed nothing, but his dark eyes gleamed with satisfaction. This is for the good of the station, said, for the good of everyone. Following orders replied, nothing more. Ming tried to stop them. He stood in their path with 5 human security officers. It's wrong, Ming said. That creature has done nothing. He has harmed no one. He has answered, that is enough. The Psy captain ordered, or we will move you. Human did not move. The Pelian soldiers raised their weapons. Below dropped from the vent into the cargo hold. He was breathing hard. His hands were shaking. He shouted, you have to get up, they're coming. Rose from the corner. He was stronger now after weeks of food and medicine. He could stand at his full height, 8 feet of black scales and terrible claws, but he was still weak, still recovering. Voice was confused. What wrong? Soldiers, they're coming to hurt you, we have to. The door exploded. Filled the room. Dark shade poured through the opening. Pelian soldiers' weapons raised, spreading out to surround them. The sound shook the walls. It was the hunting cry of the galaxy's greatest predator, pure terror in sunk form. Soldiers froze. Their ancient fears grabbed them by the throat. Their mouths locked. Their minds screamed at them to run. They had trained for this. Slowly forcing themselves to move, they raised their weapon. And not away from toward him, he threw himself between the end of the soldiers. Stop, he screamed. Stop, he's not hurting anyone. Soldiers stared at the small human boy standing in front of the monster. They did not understand. This made no sense. Why would Prey protect the predator? Move, child, one soldier said. His voice was shaking. No. Down. His massive clawed hand touched shoulder, but he did not push the boy aside. Instead, he moved forward, playing his own body between and the weapon. He was protecting the child. The predator was protecting the prey. Soldier's nerve broke. His claw tightened on the trigger. No. Shout came from the doorway. Captain Miu pushed through the soldiers, followed by another human. They formed a line beside him. Want to kill them, Miu said. His voice was cold and hard. Then you kill us first. Humans arrived, scientists, workers, families, all of them standing between the soldiers. Bowser appeared in the doorway. His calm mask was cracking. He had not expected this. It was madness, he said. You would die for the beast. He looked at him. He is not a beast, he is a person, and we will not let you murder him. Standoff stretched. Soldiers and humans faced each other across a room filled with smoke and fear. Weapons pointed at unarmed people. No one moved, no one breathed. But at the center of it all, holding his massive hand in his small one. He said, his voice was quiet, but everyone heard it. He just wants to live. He just wants help. Is that really so terrible? Anna looked at the boy. She looked at the sheltering him. She looked at the humans willing to die for a creature they had feared their whole lives. Something changed in her eyes. She lowered her weapon. Stand down, she ordered. Soldier's head hid, screamed at them to continue, but repeated the order. Louder, this teeth cargo hold was silent after the soldiers lowered their weapons. Everyone stood frozen, still trying to understand what had just happened. Humans had faced guns for had protected a human child. The universe seemed to have turned upside down. Bowser pushed forward through the crowd. His gray face was twisted with anger and fear. Proves nothing, he said. The creature has fooled you. Are hunters, killers. It is in their nature. You cannot change what they are. You do not know what we are. Voice filled the room. It was deep and rough like rocks grinding together, but every word was clear. He had been learning. He had been preparing for the moment. Aliens gasped, did not speak to prey species, did not need to. They hunted, they killed. Words were not part of their nature. Was speaking, and everyone listened. Stories said he stood at his full height, 8 feet of black scales and burning eyes, but he did not look threatening. He looked tired. He looked sad. Old stories, hunting stories, yes, these stories true. Long ago we hunt, we kill, we are monsters. Paused. His ember eyes moved across the face, watching him. Stories change, people change many thousand years pass. We learn, we grow, we stop hunting, we become scholars, travelers, seekers of knowledge. His clawed hand touched his own chest. I'm scientist like human. I study stars. I study life. I hurt no one. Shook his head. Lies. Lies. So he grew heavier. Truth and more truth. Bad truth. Looked down at who still held his massive hand. The boy nodded, encouraging him to continue. Homeworld dying said, 6 comes. Parasite. It takes bodies, controls minds, makes us into monsters again. Not by choice, by force. My people fight, but we lose. Millions dead. Millions more infected. We send calls for help. Every world, every station. Looked at Ambassador, at Commander, at all the aliens who had wanted him dead. One answers, everyone afraid. Everyone hates, so my people die alone. I escaped to find help. My ship attacked, crashed here. His voice dropped to a whisper. I think I died too, alone, hated like all my people. The room was absolutely silent. No one moved, no one spoke. Small human comes, continued. He looked at and something like a smile crossed his terrible face. Small human not afraid. Small human brings medicine, brings food, brings words, brings hope. His eyes glowed brighter. In 10,000 years no one touches, everyone runs, everyone hides. But small human sits beside monster and says, I help. Tears were running down his face. He did not wipe them away. Strange species said, weak bodies, short lives, no claws, no armor, but they have something other species not have. They reach out, they connect, even when afraid, even when dangerous. They see monster and ask what monster sad. They see enemy and ask what enemy needs. Looked at Captain Minu, at all the humans who had stood between him and death. His power said, not weapons, not strength. This, caring for others, even others who different, even others who scary. This is why humans will matter. This is why humans will change galaxy. Bowser's gray face had gone pale. His dark eyes were wide. For the first time he did not look angry, he looked lost. Do not understand, he whispered. How can you forgive? We tried to kill you. We have hated your kind for thousands of years. It was quiet for a moment. Then he did something no one expected. He walked toward the ambassador, flinched, but he did not run. Up in front of him, slowly, carefully, he extended his clawed hand. Not ask forgiveness, said. I ask chance. Chance to show we change. Chance to save my people. Chance to be more than monsters in old stories. But at the offered hand, his whole body was shaking. Every instinct screamed at him to run, to hide, to escape the predator that haunted his people's nightmares. He thought about what he had just seen. A human child holding the hand of a human standing between soldiers and a creature they had every reason to fear. A monster protecting a boy with his own body. The old stories were not the only stories. Slowly trembling, Ambassador reached out and took his hand. On the room, something shifted. Aliens who had wanted the dead began to look at each other differently. Commander lowered her head in shame. Pelian soldiers stepped back from their positions, weapons forgotten. Minu stepped forward. If what you say is true and your home world is under attack, then we have a decision to make. Not just humans, all of us. I've been alone for too long, added. They made mistakes in the past, terrible mistakes, but so have all of our species. The question is whether we can move forward together. Days passed, then weeks. The story of the cargo hold spread across the station, then across the sector, then across the galaxy. Human child had touched it, had healed it, had befriended it, had stood between it and death. It seemed impossible, it was impossible, and yet it had happened. Batter returned to the inn and spoke to the council. He told them about the humans, about the parasite threatening to destroy them. He argued for help. Many opposed him. The fear was still strong. Showed them a picture. A small human boy holding the hand of the galaxy's greatest predator, both of them smiling. If the child can reach out, said, then so can we. The vote was closed, but it passed. And her sent messages to the Pelian fleet. Other commanders were skeptical. Some were hostile, but was persuasive. She told them about the standoff, about the humans who fate went to protect her, about the who shielded a human child with his own body. It was wrong, she admitted. We were all wrong, and if we don't help now, we'll be wrong forever. Began to gather at Haven 7, metal vessels, Pelian warships, research cruisers from a dozen different species, all of them preparing for a mission to space, a mission to fight a parasite, a mission to save monsters. The day of the fleet launch, there was a ceremony in the main hall of Haven 7. Thousands of beings gathered to watch. Aliens who had never been in the same room together stood side by side. But at the front, he was fully healed now, strong and powerful, but his ember eyes were soft as he looked at the crowd. At him stood, the boy had grown a little taller in the past weeks. He stood straight and proud, holding his hand like it was the most natural thing in the universe. To me, you addressed the crowd. We begin something new, he said, not because we are not afraid, we are all afraid, but because we choose to reach out anyway, because a child showed us that kindness is stronger than fear, because the galaxy is better when we face it together. Tobet, are you scared? He asked quietly. Yes, admitted, scared of what we find, scared of losing more people, scared of failing. That's okay, said, I'm scared too. But you still help even when scared. Mild, that's what friends do. A sound that might have been a laugh, a rough, deep sound that came from somewhere ancient and warm. A strange species, he said, very strange, very good. Fleet launched that day. Hundreds of ships, dozens of species, all following a scientist and a human child toward an uncertain future. No one knew if they would succeed. No one knew if they could stop the parasite. No one knew what they would find in space. They knew one thing, they were not alone, they were not enemies, they were something new. Later, when the first reports came back from space, they told of victories, small at first, then larger. The parasite was being pushed back, infected were being healed, cities were being reclaimed. And at the center of it all was a coalition that should never have existed. Species that had been enemies for thousands of years working together, fighting together, saying lives together. Hansen received a message from the fleet, a video from. Winning, said, his ember eyes glowed bright with joy. Slowly, painfully, but winning because of help, because Galaxy chose to reach out. He held up something in his clawed hand, a small drawing done in colored pencils, a picture of a boy and a monster holding hands under a sky full of stars. This for me, said, I keep it always to remember that one small hand changed everything. Her son over to watch the video, looked at the screen, at his friend so far away, at the drawing he had made all those weeks ago. He kept it softly. Of course he did, replied. You gave him something no one else could, you gave him hope. This. About the night he had crawled through the tunnels to help a wounded monster, about all the nights after that, sitting in the dark, talking and laughing and learning together, about the moment he had stepped between and the soldiers, not because he was brave, but because he could not let his friend die alone. I didn't do anything special, he said. I just saw someone who needed help. Her son into a hug. Tears ran down her cheeks, but she was smiling. It's exactly what made it special, she said. That's exactly what made it human. At the window, the stars burned bright. Somewhere out there, a fleet was saving a world. Somewhere out there, ancient enemies were becoming friends. Somewhere out there, the galaxy was changing because one small boy had reached out his hand. That hand had touched everything me. And I won, the West dropped. Standoff was over, but the danger was not finished, because still had a story to tell, and the truth would change everything. Danger was coming, and had no idea how bad it would be. He felt hope,